Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a video that maybe some of you have been waiting for. It is my summary of the books that I read in January and February. February's books were the books that I read for the Black Author Readathon. So I'm going to start with those first, and then I'll go back and tell you the books that I read in January. So let's get started. So I have my list here. And then I have my handy dandy. This is my book that some of you don't know. You could go and check out another video that I have telling you about this book. But this is a book where I like, when I'm reading, I like to jot down information and maybe I'll draw a little scene or just decorate a page in honor of that book. I read 5 books for the Black Author Readathon. I don't remember the order that I read the books in. Okay, so the first book titled Rebel, Women Who Dare, and this book was written by Beverly Jenkins, and this is the page that I made. It just simply has the book's title and then the subtitle, Book Women Who Dare. And on here, so I read it on my Nook reader, and it says, Her soul is fierce. I started it on February 4th, and then I finished it on February 9th. When I finish these 5 books, I'm going to tell you guys how I fared in the Black Authors Readathon, because there was a contest and it was online and it was given by some great women from BookTube, and I really enjoyed participating. That was my first time. Okay guys, I had to go and get my Kindle also. Some of the books were on Nook, some was on Kindle, I think maybe one was on Chirp. Okay, so let me tell you the main characters that were in Rebel, and that was Belinda Lacey and Drake LeVig. It was based in New Orleans, and it was so good. I really enjoyed this book. It was about Belinda. She was a school teacher. She wanted to teach people how to read. This is a historical fiction. And she came from New York, and she came all the way down to Louisiana, and she wanted to just do things on her own. And then she meets the LeVig family, and she meets Drake, and he has all these wonderful brothers. His mom is cool. Belinda becomes friends with the sister-in-law of the family. There were scenes where men had captured Belinda, and they was gonna try to hurt her, and she fought her way back. She took a stick and knocked one of those men upside the head. That's when Drake ran up. He came to her rescue. It was he and his sister-in-law that he had just picked up that had came into town. Where Belinda was staying, the people were so rude to her. She was staying with 2 women. One woman was really mean to her. But the head woman that ran the boarding house, one day she died. When Belinda went back to the boarding house, the sister was like, you need to go. We don't want you here. She's dead. So Belinda had to find another place. So she thought about where Drake said that he was. It was a restaurant. So she went to the restaurant, and the maitre d' didn't want her to come in, and she talked her way in, and Drake heard her and brought her in and meet his family, and things just went on from there. But it was a very, very lovely story. I really enjoyed it. Towards the end, I won't tell you guys how it ends, but it had a really great ending. I tweeted Miss Beverly Jenkins on Twitter and told her I was going to be reading her book. You know, after I read it, I was nice, and she said there was a whole backlist of books on this LeVig family. That's Leveq. So I will probably check that out in the near future. And then I read Intimate Negotiations, and this is by Nikki Knight. I read this on my Kindle text-to-speech. I listened and read also. And I started this book February 10th, and I finished it on February 11th, honey. It was good. Of all the books so far, I think this was my favorite book. So this one is about Ethan and Zoe. And Zoe, she was a hard worker. She was great at what she does. She was great at her job and business work. And she has a mom and a sister. Her sister has special needs. Zoe, she's being harassed at her current job position by a guy named Seth. He's just obnoxious, trying to date her, just being rude and always coming up, sneaking behind her. So she was just irritated. So she found out that they were hiring at another firm, the Blackwell firm, and it's a family-owned business. And so she went and put in an application over there. Immediately, As soon as Ethan Blackwell interviewed her, he knew that he liked her right away. The Blackwell firm had already had issues with the harassment on the job before. They had a big blowout in the news a few years earlier. Later on, Zoe and Ethan get together. This is based in New York, so there was a big storm one night. Zoe did try getting home, but that didn't work out. But she ended up with Ethan at his downtown. He had a downtown loft. And also he lived upstate New York, but he kept this one, he said, from his college days. Anyway, so they got together and one thing led to another. This girl, she ended up getting pregnant by Ethan.
What you say?
And it was just a mess. And she tried to not talk to Ethan, but Ethan kept asking her about what's going on. She told him that she was pregnant. Dad was not happy with Ethan about what he was doing. After Zoe, she got so frustrated that she became pregnant, she didn't want to make any problems for Ethan, so she decided to go work for another firm that was hiring. And then he was like, no, don't go work for that. Come to find out, honey, Ethan was not even the son of the old man Blackwell. So, Ethan went and spoke with his real father, and they said, well, me and your mom, we had this thing we weren't going to tell. Anyway, but everybody was cool with it. So, long story short, they got together. Zoe went and met the family. They had a big gathering, and I'm not going to tell you guys the end. Yeah, you guys have to go check these books out. So I hope that built up enough suspense for you. This one wasn't my favorite. It was my favorite until I later read another one that I'm going to tell you guys about. I'm just going to go on and get this one out the way, honey. Eric Jerome Dickey's An Accidental Affair. This is just like a dedication page I made. As some of you know, he passed away this January 3rd, 2021. It's really sad. He was a really great, this was something else. I listened to this one on my Chirp app. This book was written in 2012. It was about James Thicke and Regina Baptiste. Honey, everybody wanted this woman. I don't know, that Dickey wove a whole thing around this woman. She must have been somebody something. It was just all about getting ahead in Hollywood. It was about backstabbing, all sort of things. Just like if you read the cover of the book, just like it says. The person, James Thicke, was telling it like in first person. And it read like a movie script. So towards the end of the book, because I'm going to be honest, you guys, I was listening to it, but as soon as I turned it on, it had this, I kept falling asleep on it. It was a little bit more insect in it than I thought. And I thought about it and I said, well, I think maybe that's why I didn't read too many more of Eric Jerome Dickey's books. I don't know, but he goes, whoo, he goes all... But still, it was a really good concept. And at the end, oh my gosh, people were shooting folks down on Sunset Boulevard. This guy, James Thicke, he gunned down like 4 or 5 family members on the street one time. Oh my gosh. But this all started because on screen, Regina Baptiste and Johnny Hanson had sex on the screen and it went worldwide. It was a video somebody leaked. And this man, James Thicke, he was on him. He wanted to get revenge. There was so much character through the book. They kept telling like little headlines of different things that were going on in production and film, and they were doing different snippets of headlines from the newspaper. Sometimes it would read well, sometimes it would be false information. It made many references to today's culture. Like it said a lot of different stars' names. And at the end, honey, it was crazy. Regina Baptiste and James Thicke, they were aliens with each other, but they weren't, if you can understand that. Regina Baptiste had information holding it over James' head about the murders of John Hanson, and then he has information from Regina Baptiste from the beginning of the story. So they both are together but apart. I was wondering, I don't know if it's a part 2 of this book, but it probably deserved a part 2. Okay, so the next book is Once Ghosted, Twice Shy by Alyssa Cole. This one so far I didn't make a page for it yet. So this is the cover. A Reluctant Royals novella. This one was the shortest book that I read, and also the last, I do remember that. So this book was about Lakaksi. She was an ambassador for a prince. She was in New York. The other girl's name was Fabiola. They were once together for a brief time, and then they went their separate ways. Fabiola, she made jewelry. She had her own little thing going. I like how this book started out with Lakaksi talking about her and what she was doing, and she was just minding her business sitting on a subway train. Then she gets a text from Fabiola. They had met on a dating app, the kind you swipe right. We all know which one that was. They used to hang out. They had a great time. They liked each other. They went everywhere. I like the way this book was written because it gave you a lot of information about New York, and it was very descriptive. So when they would go different places, to museums, to parks, to all these different places, it seemed like I was there. So these two, they met back on the subway, and Lakaksi was still frustrated because Fabiola had just ghosted her, just like that. So when they met back and saw each other again 7 months later, they decided to start talking. They started going out together, meeting, and Lakaksi kept holding back. She really wanted to ask Fabiola what happened. She called her Fab. She kept wanting to find the right time to ask her, what happened? Why did you ghost me, right? Fabiola never spoke about it. The book kept going from the past 7 months to the present. Lakaksi thought it was something that she did to Fab, the reason why Fab just ghosted her, but no, it came to find out that Fabiola, her cousin, got sent to jail because for immigration or something, and the cousin had a 17-year-old daughter. Fabiola's mom called and said, you know what you have to do. You know, she told her, not demanding it, but in a nice way and love, that you're gonna have to take the 17-year-old because she's gonna come home and her mom's gone. Fabiola had taken in the girl. She had to help her finish getting through school, and then she had that going on, and she had other things going on in her life, so she just felt it better to just leave Lakaksi out of this because Lakaksi had told her she was just passing through anyway. Maybe Fabiola thought that, oh well, she'll get over it, she was just passing through. But no, Lakaksi really had fallen for it. So anyway, after I read the book, I said to myself, see, that's why we can't really prejudge people. We get all these things sometimes in our mind. Oh, why did this person do this? And why did this happen? And why? But we never know. We never know what people are going through, what they're struggling with. And everybody deal with different things in a different way. So honey, at the end of the book, they got together and they were cool again. And then Fabiola eventually told Lakaksi what had happened, and Lakaksi was receptive and blah, blah, blah. It was really great. It had a great ending. I'm not gonna tell you guys again. You guys gotta go pick up these books, and I'll try to put the links down in the box so you guys can check them out. It was just too cute. That's all I gotta say about that. That was book number 4. I said Intimate Negotiations was my favorite. It was until after I read this last one, and I didn't make a page for this one either. So this book is titled Sin City Temptations by Sharon C. Cooper, and this is a Kamani romance. Oh my gosh. And you guys know, go check out my other video. You guys know how much I love this cover. This was my favorite book. First of all, because the characters in it. Trinity Layton, she was an ex-police officer. She had her own business protecting people, like a private agency, and it was mostly women too that would be your bodyguard. Yes. She took a position that her brother encouraged her to from a guy named Gunner that they all knew from some years ago. Gunner was a professional poker player, and Trinity, she was just really down on him at first. So she took the job because she really needed, she had to pay some back taxes, like $10,000 or something back for her business, and she just wanted to really bring her business up. Well, since she didn't want to take it at first, Gunner offered her like triple the salary. She told herself it's just gonna be business, it's gonna be business. And pretty much it was. And the way they described her in the book, she was like 5'8", and she just reminded me of myself. I'm 5'8", and just the way they described her, and then the clothes that she wear, I was like, man, you know, it seemed like they were describing me. It was really, I really could relate to the story. And then on down to the J. Renee shoes. That was my favorite shoe company for dress shoes. J. Renee, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? And, you know, just with her hairstyles, everything. I mean, she was about it. You know, she was serious about her job. So Gunner lived in this big fabulous place out in Las Vegas, big huge house. Trinity kept saying, why do you need this big space? And then Gunner had to tell her, well look, you can't come here and talking about me and being down on what I do. And then later it comes out that the reason why Trinity was so down on Gunner about what he did for a living is because Trinity's father was a gambler and he missed birthdays, certain occasions for Trinity. He ended up telling the family to go to California, go without him. And so the mom, the brother, and Trinity went to California, and they left the father there in Vegas, and he just died. He just died later, died early. So that's why she was really down on that. So she eventually got over that, and Gunner was so hard to protect. The reason why he wanted protection because someone was attacking the pro card players, because he was doing all big time tournaments where you win hundreds of thousands of dollars and stuff. And at one point, when Trinity was asleep, Gunner decides to go out for a jog because Trinity had to stay at his house. The house was big enough, so she stayed in another room. Gunner went out running, and then all of a sudden, you know, a big SUV was coming after him. And it made him fall in the bush. He hurt himself. He made it back to the house. Trinity was so mad at him because he went out without her, which she kept telling him not to. Gunner would get mad at Trinity because she would stand up to people. Men would step to her and try to disrespect her and say things, but she could put them in place. At one time, one man was in Gunner's face, and Trinity stepped to. She just said something to just break it up. That Gunner didn't like that. I mean, it was just going back and forth. Then Trinity's brother found out. He was just looking at them one day when he was out to visit, and he realized, oh, okay, they going together now. They, you know, doing too much. So he told Gunner, you better not hurt my sister. You know, he got a little mad at first, but then Gunner said something funny, and then they were cool with it. So the rest of the story, they ended up capturing the person that was doing that. It was actually a poker player, one of the top poker players. Trinity, it was something that he had dropped that she just happened to pick up and have in her pocket, and then she realized it was the same item that that person had, that she had seen it before. Trinity and Gunner, you know what I'm gonna say. You guys have to check it out to see how it ends. So this one was my favorite book. I'm surprised I didn't do a page yet. I just been really bogged down. I listened to this one on the Kindle text-to-speech. Those were all the books that I read. And let me show you guys this. So I'm gonna put up right here, this is the board that we had to fill out. And you had to try to make, you know, you could do a whole blackout. There was prizes for that. Or you could just do a horizontal or a vertical or a diagonal like that. And there's different categories in there. And I'll show you guys my bingo card, how I ended it. Believe me, I didn't get, as you can see, I didn't make a bingo. I needed to read one more book. It needed to be a rock star romance. If I had read the rock star romance, I would have had 3 lines. You had until March 2nd to submit your board and tell what you've read. I didn't even turn it in. I posted it on Twitter, Instagram, but I didn't turn it in because I didn't get a bingo. But it was fun, and I really enjoyed it. So that is the February reads. Now, books I read in January. So here's the first book that I read in January. And this book is titled Unlocked by T.D. Jakes. And this was a really powerful book. I love the way T.D. Jakes write. I just admire him. I started this January 30th and I finished it on the 31st. It was a very quick read. I think it was like short, like a novella. It likened Elijah the prophet, you know, in the Bible, as the mentor, and Elisha the prophet as a mentee. And it had lots of comparisons and contrasts, and how that you have to follow what your mentor says, and how you have to be prepared for things when, like Elisha was out in cattle when Elijah the prophet passed by. And Elijah passed by, he threw his cloak onto Elisha. And Elisha, he was ready. He had to go tell his family, "This is it. I'm gone. I'm ready to go, stepping into my purpose." He just wanted to be blessed by the great prophet Elijah. The book was really touching and opening, and the end of the book, it was written by his daughter Sarah. I think she's married. I'll just say Sarah Jakes. This is a quick read. It's one that you can read. It's for uplifting, and it's to help you to direct your focus, and I really enjoyed that book. So that is one I had on my Kindle that I had been wanting to read for a while. Another book I read in January was The Miracle Morning, and that's by Elrod with Steve Scott and Honoree Porter. I started this book January 28th, and I finished it on the 30th. This book was more than I thought. I had this one on my reader also for a while. A couple of years ago, I read The Miracle Morning. So this is The Miracle Morning for writers. And it was like 3 hours, 26 minutes. This is not just about how to make a schedule for writing. If you ever read The Miracle Morning, how you feel better and do better and be more productive as you follow a certain program. And he follows the system called Savers. I won't go into detail about that. You guys got to go pick up the book if you haven't read it. So, but now this one, you're going to work in time to write, you know, as an author. This has so much packed information. It was more about, it had other vital information in it about your mindset. It was just packed with all sorts of good information. It took me like 4 days to read this. I like books and things by Elrod. I think it was December or November they had a film about The Miracle Morning, and I purchased that and watched it. It was really great. This is the first book that I read in 2021, The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. I started it on the 6th, but I kept getting distracted and stuff. So, and because you have to really listen to this, is some good literature. This is some great writing. I had to really focus and listen to it. So I didn't finish it until January 2026 because I would try to listen to it at the end of the day, then it run down, then I have to rewind it. I put it's a must read. This is my first book I've read by Colson Whitehead, and it won't be the last. This was based on a true story. It was called Nickel Hall. That's why they call it Nickel Boys. It's a detention hall for boys, mainly black boys. It's down in Florida. It was just about a crazy incident that one little boy got into. His name was Elrod. He got in trouble, one little silly thing, and when he was about, I think 14, when he got sent to this place, and he had to meet up with all these other characters. And this little boy was brilliant. He was smart. He was just very learned. He was being raised by his grandmother, and it was just very interesting, heartfelt book. He met some friends. He had his challenges there. The people were abusing them there. Just all types of abuse you could think of was going on at this place, and nobody listened over the years. Some of the boys would just disappear. There was stories saying that they were being buried in the hills. They would go out, take them out in the middle of the night, and never see them again. Then they had a place on the campus called the White House, and if you get taken in there, you get beat. It was terrible. Elrod got beat so bad that he had lumps and brokenness for a long time. It was just everybody just kept everything to themselves. Elrod really admired different speeches from Martin Luther King. You know, he always dreamt of a better time and better things. But it ends so tragically for Elrod because they had escaped, and when they escaped, Turner took Elrod with him. The people from the camp hunted them down, and Elrod got shot in the back. Turner is a friend that Elrod met there at the Nickel camp, and he was living a life using Elrod's name as a tribute to. Turner ended up living out in Detroit. At the end of the book, it came full circle, and the people still lied, said, oh, we treated the people good, we did everything we could for them and stuff. But later they actually found bones and everything. But that was really good book. Well, good but sad. Colson Whitehead, this book was a Pulitzer Prize winner for fiction, okay? The next book I read January 25th, and I stopped and I finished it January 27th, and it's Dream It, Pen It, Live It by Terry Savelle Foy. This is all about vision boards. You know, she's real big on vision boards. She's all over the internet. You can find her. She is so inspirational. When I made my vision board, you guys go out and check that video of me making my vision board. I patterned it after this. Like she said, it's best if you do like 10 categories instead of just putting it all over the place. But most of the time we do a big collage, but if she likes to number hers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I made mine, but I really didn't number mine, but I did put about 10. And she really believes vision boards, and so do I. So much that I made mine and I haven't even hung it up yet. I'm still trying to get my space of writing together. She does workshops on this. She encourages just to get together and do vision board parties at their home. This book was like the Miracle Morning for writers. It had way more information in it than just about vision boards. This had also about your mindset, also about how we have to look towards our dreams and how we have to plan. It was so in-depth. I really enjoyed this book. Okay guys, there you have it. So I read 4 books in January and 5 in February. I'm filming this mid-March and I should be on my 3rd book, and I'm still on my 1st book, but I'll catch it up. And I plan on reading 4 books for March. That's my whole goal, is to at least read 4 books a month. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the summary of the books. Be sure to stay tuned on my channel. In about 3 months I'll probably do books that I've read in March and April. I intended to do quarterly, but that didn't work out. Once I did the Black Author Readers, I didn't want to wait too late to do that video. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you visiting my channel. Please feel free to invite others to my channel, and I would love your support. Go and check out my website. It may or may not be a newsletter available yet, but I would love for you guys to check it out. You guys, I had my website up since December, and it was supposed to have launched like December 15th. I think I would launch it and I'll pull it back on really quick, but because I had some other things that I thought I needed, but I found out that I don't need all of these other things. So I'm just gonna go on and put it out there, so you might be able to sign up for the newsletter right now, or you might not, but just keep checking back and I'll get it all together eventually. This is all for today, and you guys take care, and I will see you in my next video. Later, Gators.